Hello, all you happy Star Wars fans. Yeah, it's me, the old deplorable basket case here. Now, Star Wars Episode 8 has received a lot of criticism since it came out. Some of it well-founded, some of it, in my opinion at least, a little unfair. But love it or hate it, you gotta admit, it could have been better. There were some parts, well, most of it was quite good, I thought. There were parts of it that were awesome. But unfortunately, there were a lot of parts that were lame, and there were parts that were just awful. Now, most of the problems to do with Star Wars 8 were story problems, and I'm a writer, so as I was watching it, and afterward I started writing things down, I thought about how it could have been better. And, well, I've been working on it ever since, and I think I'm ready to talk about it. I want to share it. See what people think. Okay. First is the title crawl. Now, there are problems with the Star Wars series that could have been very easily fixed with this title crawl. For example, in the first of the new trilogy, 7, we see the First Order destroy a Republic fleet. But the Republic is the Galactic Republic. We know they've got a lot more fleets out there. What are they doing? How are they reacting to the destruction of the Republic's capital? What is going on? The title crawl is a little lacking, I feel. There should have been some mention of these other Republic fleets. You could start saying something like, there's chaos in the galaxy. No organized resistance to the First Order as it expands its power across the galactic core. Something like that. And it was something like, only the resistance is ready to fight the First Order. If they are destroyed, a spark that they could light a fire will be whatever. Anyway, it could have done that. It could have filled up some plot holes, cut off some things that people have been complaining about. The first minute of the movie really pissed me off. And it pissed me off because it was so stupid. There was no reason for them to do that. Okay, we see the Resistance, they're evacuating the planet, and there are two officers, and they're talking, and then we hear the First Order coming out of hyperspace. We're on the planet. We hear them coming out of hyperspace. Really stupid. And that could be fixed. It could be so easily fixed. It's like 1 minute in post-production, okay? Take out the switch sound effects. Take out the hyperspace sound effect and put in an alarm. So there's two officers, they're talking on the planet, there's an alarm, they turn around, they look up, and there are the Star Destroyers. That could work. That would be fine. That would be good, and it would not be stupid. Now, that is stupid. Luckily, the next part is quite good. Poe talking with Admiral Hux. I thought it was awesome. But again, it could have been better. This is the first time we're seeing the First Order operating as a military. Okay, before we saw them as people building a Death Star and sending agents all across the galaxy to hunt down whatever. But like the original trilogy, the second movie is when we first see them operating as a military, fighting battles, having fleets going out and doing whatever. So we really want to portray them as being competent. Defeating a stupid villain is a lot less heroic. So the second they come out of hyperspace, Admiral Hux orders the First Order to launch starfighters because he knows that the Resistance has starfighters and they're like using them to attack people by surprise. So he launches fighters immediately. Then Finn shows up and he calls up Admiral Hux and has that awesome conversation, but then Hux acts like an idiot and not like an actual experienced military professional, which in theory he is. So after he has a short yell about Poe not hearing him, he orders some starfighters to go and check out Poe's ship because maybe it's a drone, maybe it's loaded with explosives. He just wants it to be checked out, which is exactly what a real military person would do. It's a competent thing to do. So as the TIE fighters approach, Poe suddenly slams into full speed and proceeds as it was in the movie. That's fine. That's great. Awesome piece. Good work. Then Poe orders the attack. And Leia protests at him, tells him not to do it. He insists, and she lets him. That's right, she lets him in the movie. She lets him. You might be saying, oh, but he turned off his radio. No, he turned off his radio. Every single other ship making the attack did not turn off their radios. She could have called off the attack any moment she wanted, but she didn't. She allowed him to proceed with the attack even though she disagreed with it, which is actually a quite realistic, interaction in a military situation. Okay, the superior doesn't agree with the subordinate's decision, but they allow the subordinate to proceed because it's a subordinate's decision to make. That's actually a very good working relationship between two officers. Okay, so the attack goes on, and okay, those giant bomber ship things. I saw where they were going with that. I saw the callback to World War II bomber movies, which I thought was a very nice callback to the original Death Star attack scene, which of course is taken from the Dam Busters. So that was nice, but it doesn't work. I'm sorry, Disney, it just doesn't. Okay, these big ships, they're moving slowly. There's literally no reason why the Star Destroyers don't blow them out of space. No reason at all. So make them Y-wings or B-wings. Or if you really want to have some new model to sell to kids, make them some new kind of bomber ship. Speaking of marketing to kids, do you really think, how many people do you think are out there going to say, okay, I want to buy models of this big, slow, lumbering, blobbish ship that gets blown out of space so easily? How many people do you think are going to say that? Okay, so Rose, Tico's sister, is a pilot. Now, whether they're Y-wings or B-wings or whatever, they're making the attack, and of course, these, even though they are starfighters, they are slower, they are bombers, they're made to attack Star Destroyers, not to be fighting off enemy fighters. So they take losses, and I someone shout, "Stay on target" for a nice callback, and young Miss Tico makes her attack run. She's in the second wave. There are two waves. The first wave is supposed to break open the hull of the dreadnought, and the second wave is supposed to blast through the hull and fire through it and really damage it, blow it out from the inside. So the first wave goes fine because they have surprise on their side, but then the second wave gets caught up in all the dogfighting, and they take losses. And so Miss Tico is the only one left, and she's flying in, and she makes a decision. There's going to be a moment when we look at her face and we see her make the decision. And she goes flying in and she makes a kamikaze run and blows the ship out from the inside. And mission done, ship destroyed. I almost call them rebels. The Resistance fighters retreat. But as they go, Hux orders every single Star Destroyer to fire at them with everything they've got. And so there's blasting, and then there's destruction, and people are dying, and then they escape, and they hot-tail it off into hyperspace. But then Hux gets the call from Snoke, just like in the movie. And there's a huge problem with this, a big plot hole. There's two plot holes, in fact. We'll get to that later. Okay. While in hyperspace, Leia and Po talk. And it is a very tense conversation. Po is insisting that it was the correct military decision to make. They won. It was a victory. And he's absolutely right. But Leia insists that is still incredibly unhappy. She can't argue with him because he's right, and she knows it because she's not stupid. But she still does not want her friends to die, and she needs to say that word, friends. The point being that now we are seeing that the Resistance, this is the first time we're actually seeing this, the Resistance is much smaller than the Rebel Alliance was. Remember, these are the people who are following Princess Leia personally. These are the people who she could personally convince that they needed to work against the First Order. So she knows everyone, and everyone knows her, and so she feels all the deaths personally. And that is really important, because it is a truism in writing, whether it's pornography or high fantasy. If the characters don't feel it, we don't feel it. So we need to see this moment of her in pain. We need to see this moment of vulnerability in Princess Leia to really feel the loss that she is feeling. So the conversation ends. Nothing is settled. She's unhappy with him for getting people killed. He's unhappy with her because she's not focusing on the need to defeat the First Order, whatever the cost. So they came out of hyperspace. Let me see, where was it? And the First Order appears. And so they jump away again because they know they can't fight the First Order in a straight-up battle. So asking, how did the First Order find us? And someone says, okay, well, they could have tracked a hyperspace escape route, which is a thing in Star Wars, at least in the expanded universe. But they come out of hyperspace, and the First Orders follow them. Let's say they come out of hyperspace in deep space. I mean, they made a short jump. So the First Order would assume they'd gone to another system. They start in the middle of space. So they assume that they're safe. The First Order can't follow them here. There's no way the First Order could know where they came out of hyperspace. But then the First Order appears again. And Snoke is not there. Snoke's flagship is not there because Snoke's flagship was not there at the opening battle. There is no way that Snoke could get there at the same time and be with the First Order fleet. It doesn't work. So the rebels go to hyperspace again because they know that if they just stay there in empty space, there's nothing they can use to help them. So they jump to another system where the salt planet is, and there's this giant asteroid belt. And so the First Order comes out of hyperspace behind them, and they're going into the asteroid belt, and the First Order pursues them, and First Order sends TIE fighters, not just 3, send a lot, okay? Another hyperspace battle. We want 2 hyperspace battle, new space battles. Okay, 2 space battles in quick succession. This is something that has not been in Star Wars before. Remember, we want there to be new things. Awesome things. We like space battles. That is why we watch Star Wars. More space battles is a good thing. So, not just running away ignominiously with the First Order trailing. There's a fight. There's an actual fight, and so as the Resistance has their cruisers and their starfighters, they're fighting together against the First Resistance starfighters, and they're approaching the asteroid belt. Because they can get into that once they're in the asteroid belt. They're the smaller ships. They're faster, more maneuverable. They have a huge advantage. Excuse me. But and they get there, and the TIE fighters break off because they know they can't win in that situation. But as they go, there's a parting shot, and the bridge gets destroyed. Now, there are people who say that Princess Leia should have died then. Now, I do see that they have a point, but I think that's not right. I think that she has a big role that she could be playing in this movie. Better one than she did in the actual movie, that is. But, okay. So, most of the fleet's leadership are sucked away. They're killed. She is okay. I'm not sure I keep her alive in the way they did in the movie, but, okay, she's alive, and then she goes into her coma or whatever. She's wounded. She can't stay in command. So then we meet Admiral Holdo, and she's actually in a uniform or something practical, not that incredibly ugly dressing gown. Okay, I have literally no fashion sense. I literally cannot tell if something is ugly or not. If I can tell that something is ugly, it has got to be incredibly ugly. My sisters go on and on about me and my fashion sense. Anyway, so instead of rambling about the nature of hope Admiral Holdo says that she's been working for Princess Leia a long time, going on secret missions for her, which is why we haven't seen her before. This is why people don't know her so very well, because she's been like a confidential agent for so long. But they've been in all kinds of tight spots, and she is certain that they can get out of this one. Do what an actual commander should do: offer some encouragement, some leadership. So she and Po talk, and she doesn't attack him like she does in the actual movie, but they talk. There's evident tension between them. They have different command styles. They both are. It's a personality conflict. She's not just being a bitch. We should have Po also be a little prickly toward her. Remember, we want her to be a character who people can relate to. Or maybe you don't want her in the movie at all, but I think this is the movie that I would like to have seen. Okay. Finn goes to the escape pod, just like he does in the movie. And he gets there, and Rose Tico is on guard. Now, Rose Tico is an incredibly wasted character. This is a character who had great potential. This is a character who, evidently, the people making Star Wars have been really trying to sell, based on toys and whatever they've been making of her. But this is a character who has a lot of unanswered questions. It could have led to something really cool in the movie. First question that popped to my mind when I saw this character was, okay, she's a small, geeky-looking girl. Why is she the one person on the entire ship who is trusted with guarding the escape pods? That's a good question. That is a question I would like to have seen answered. It's never answered. So Finn goes there, and she tells him that Hux that the First Order is tracking them with his hyperspace tracker. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Hux calls them up, and he boasts at them about the hyperspace tracker. He says, "You cannot escape. We will follow you no matter where you go." And that's an important point. So she tells Finn about this, and Finn says something like, "They have that working already?" And she stares at him. And the next scene cuts straight to her, taking Finn straight to Po and Admiral Holdo. And he tells them about the hyperspace tracker that the First Order has been working on forever. And he thought they would never get it working, because the technical challenges involved. Let me see, now where was I? Right. So, incidentally, there is no way that Finn could understand BB-8. There's no way he could have learned how to understand BB-8 when he was in a coma. But Rose Tico is this geeky person. She could understand BB-8. There's no reason to believe she couldn't learn this new robot language that humans can understand. Now let me see, where was I? Okay. Plan is made to go get the hacker to infiltrate the First Order ship so they can deactivate the hyperspace tracker and get away. Now, Holdo is very doubtful, but she goes along with the plan because it's good to have options. Again, we want them to be militarily competent. We want our leader to be competent. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten to be in a leadership position, now would she? Anyway, Po is effectively the fleet's second in command at this point. There is literally no reason to conceal the shuttle plan from him. Literally no reason. There's every reason not to. So he knows about the shuttle plan, but he doesn't like it. And he doesn't like it because the sensor scramblers they're supposed to be using on the shuttles, they used those already when they attacked the Dreadnought. And so there's every reason now to believe that the First Order knows about the signal scramblers, and they have no reason to think they will work a second time. Let me see now. Right, okay. So Finn, BB-8, and Rose Tico go away to the Gambler planet, like in the film. When Finn and Rose are out, they get there, they're in the party. And incidentally, it's never said how they actually get into the party, even though they are seriously not dressed like they belong in a party like that. So they go out on the balcony like they did in the movie, and he's raving about the planet, and she talks about the planet's dark side, and she shows him some of the bad things that happen there. And she says that the people there are all weapons dealers. and that makes them bad guys. There's no reason to do that. Okay, we know they're bad guys because they have child slaves, for heaven's sake. Then Rose says something about her and her sister were there, and if it wasn't for Princess Leia, ... And by inference, some things become clear. We understand why she would be so loyal to Princess Leia. I'm sorry, I forgot. Before, when she and Finn and Poe and Holdo are talking, she puts forward that she says something about Princess Leia would want them to try this other plan, which is part of what convinces Holdo to go along with it. And so it is very clear that she feels very strongly about what Princess Leia would have wanted. She's very loyal to Princess Leia. And so now it is clear why. It's also clear why she would be the one person on the ship trusted to guard the escape pods, because she was so loyal and so trusted. It is suspension of disbelief can be destroyed very easily. It can be incredibly elastic. It can be incredibly brittle. Having two incredibly amazing hackers on the same planet at the exact same time by complete coincidence is kind of dumb. So they approach the hacker, only as they get to the guy, as he's throwing dice, he gets caught cheating. And so he's arrested. And just seconds later, they get caught. And that is why they get thrown in the jail cell with the hacker, because they were arrested at the same time at the same place. They all got dragged in together. And so they just happen to be there with the guy who just happens to be there at that exact same moment. It's we should avoid complete coincidences. If you want to say the Force guided them, okay, that's fine, but the Force should be used when the Force is appropriate. And if you're going to use the Force, you should say it's the Force, not just complete coincidence. Just leave it and not say anything. Anyway, I'm sorry. There's one thing about this whole episode on the gambling planet with the racers and the whatever that really upsets me, and there's something that was left out. So I feel they could have really made this better. I think they should have brought in a new character at this point, not just not just the new hacker. They should have brought in another character. I think this would be a good time to bring in another character who could bring some more flavor to the story, someone who would fit in, maybe someone out of the expanded universe or one of the original movies, but someone who would fit in a planet full of gamblers, like a scoundrel type of person, someone has a history with Princess Leia, someone, like Lando Calrissian. Yeah, this would be a really great time to fit in Lando, because it would fit, it's perfect, So Lando meets BB-8, so it's not just BB-8 going around like some Disney thing. Oh my god. The prison escape scene, leaned over to my sister. We were watching the movie together. I whispered to her, the Disney is strong with this one. And she cracked up. It was very Disney. It was very not Star Wars. So Lando and BB-8 break them out of the prison, and they're escaping. And if you really, really want to do that, freeing the animal scene and racing off through the fields, you can do that. No problem. Okay, fine. It seems a little, what's the word? It seems to drag on a little bit more than I would have done it. I think I should have shortened it a little bit. Save some time. Anyway, so you get to the end of the cliff, and Lando picks them up in his ship. You could even make it the Lady Luck if you wanted. And they fly away. So in hyperspace, Finn talks to the hacker, who is shown to know something of the First Order, and he's scared of them. He does not want to go up against them. Again, we want to leave open questions. We want to raise questions for the viewers so we can answer them later, or perhaps leave them mysterious. But he doesn't go no details. He doesn't go into any details. He just doesn't want to do it. But they convince him that he owes them, and if you want to do that thing with him demanding Rose's pendant, you can do that. But he's revealed not just to be frightened of the First Order, but he's kind of broken. Something like a shell of a man. he says something about Snoke. And remember, we want people to be frightened of Snoke. So we show this guy, and he's a broken shell of a man. And just the name Snoke is not enough to terrify him. Okay, we are building up Snoke. Snoke is a big, bad villain. Like the Emperor. The Emperor, remember how they never mentioned the Emperor? They hardly mentioned the Emperor at all in the first movie. In the second, we just saw that one glimpse of him. So by the time we saw him in the third movie, it was a big deal. We want to build up our villains. Okay. So, back at the asteroid field, Poe and Holdo are still at loggerheads. She says they're running out of time for the plan to take effect before they really need to make their escape plan. So, as well as the shuttle plan and the infiltrating the First Order ships plan, they're going to try to fight. Okay, Poe is pushing for them to fight. The First Order is approaching the asteroid field. He thinks they can use it to their advantage. Holdo is really not okay with this, but other people want to fight. Okay, people don't want to run away. They want to think they have a chance. And Poe is convinced at least some of the remaining of the fleet's officers that they can use the asteroid field to their advantage. They can cause serious damage to the First Order and fight their way out and get away with all their ships. Because remember, they don't want to leave their ships behind. These are really big, important things. So Holdo is very reluctantly going along with it up to a point. She says if they see some advantage, some opening to take, she'll allow them to go ahead with it. But the First Order is approaching, and they're sneaking through the asteroid field, and the Resistance, they see a chance. And everyone looks at Holdo, and she nods. And say they proceed to begin the attack, and then more First Order ships arrive. More, like from other systems, all converging on them. So the Resistance is now trapped. There's no escape, even if they get out of the asteroid field. They can't make it to escape the system. And leading the new First Order ships is Snoke. Big entrance. Okay, we really want Snoke to have this big entrance. And we were ramping up the tension. Okay, it's not just this one fleet of First Order ships is pursuing them. It's the First Order is sending in more and more and more. The situation gets more and more hopeless with every minute that passes. We want this to be a big deal. We want it to be absolutely hopeless for our heroes, so that when they win, it's a big deal. So the new First Order ships arrive, and they retreat back. The Resistance is forced to retreat. And now they know that they can't fight their way out. They thought they had an option. It's gone. Now so they start preparing the shuttle escape while really, really praying that that their team pulls through, that the heroes pull through. So return to our heroes. They infiltrate the First Order ship. The hacker steps up. We can see him still being scared, but he's determined. He steps up. He's very determined not to let his fear stop him. We want to see this guy actually developing, overcoming. And so they break into the ship. But they are caught, like in the film. But unlike in the film, when they are caught, one of our heroes actually gets away from them and is able to do some damage to some circuits or whatever. And as they're being pulled away, someone reports to Admiral Hux there is some damage to their forward deflector screens, or their shield projectors. I forget whatever it is they're called in Star Wars. So the hacker does not make a deal because there's no way for him to know about the signal scramblers or the sensor scramblers or whatever it is, because he's been with the heroes on the Lady Luck the whole time. But the Resistance makes their escape in their shuttles because they hear the hero's been captured. The First Order is able to detect them because they know about the sensor scramblers, because they just had to deal with the attack in the first minutes of the film. They shoot at them. They start shooting at the shuttles, And it's ghastly. It's horrible. People are dying helplessly. But not everyone has gone on the shuttles. Okay, it's not they haven't just left one person on one ship behind, because that is stupid. One person cannot fly an entire cruiser on his or herself, herself. Anyway, so they have the skeleton crew on the main cruiser under Admiral Holdo. She and Poe flipped a coin to see who would go. And he wanted to do a little thing as the door is closing. She cheated, used a two-headed coin or whatever. So she turns the ship around. She sees the shuttles are being slaughtered, and she orders the ship to turn around. And they make a ramming attack on Hux's ship. Remember, the shields are down, or damaged, or half strength, or whatever you want to do it. So too late, the First Order starts shooting at her, thinking it's just shooting at the cruiser, thinking it's just a feint or whatever, a feint. Anyway, but too late, slams into it. No hyperspace ramming, because it was a nice visual, but it's another plot hole. It opens up some cans of worms that shouldn't be opened in Star Wars. Now, where was I? Okay. On Snoke's ship, on the First Order flagship, our heroes are still alive. But there's utter chaos. Lots of the crew are dead, the ship is damaged, and they make a break for it. Now, most of the time that Rey is spent with Luke, I would leave as is. Most of it, at least. Not so much. They don't need to spend so much time on milking the giant sea animals or whatever. Unnecessary. So Rey appears, escaping from Ben, and all that happened. And so, working together, they escape, and maybe the hacker gets killed, maybe Lando gets killed if you want to kill people. It is realistic for people to die while they're making their escape, because even though there's chaos, they're still incredibly outnumbered, and there's all those First Order soldiers around. But at least most of them make their escape, and they head down to the Salt Planet, and they join with the Resistance shuttles, because there's no reason for them to crash in afterward. Another unnecessary thing. Let me see, where was I? Oh yes, so they're in the base, and they close the door behind them. But then the First Order lands. Poe organizes his attack like in the film. At a certain point, Rose and Leia meet, and they have a moment together where they talk about Rose's sister. We want to reinforce this connection between the old heroes and the new heroes, because the new heroes are trying to take up a legacy, really. So we want there to be this continuous connection between them. Rey and Han Solo had that really cool connection. That was one of the better parts of the seventh movie. So I keep saying first movie because it's the first in the new trilogy. Anyway. Where was I? I have this some bullet points written out while I'm talking about this. I hope you'll pardon me if I keep stumbling and trying to find my place, because okay, right. Okay, so they attack the First Order cannon. And then the Millennium Falcon appears. Chewie arriving to save the day, and it's just Chewie because he couldn't know where to come to pick them up on the First Order ship. They escaped the First Order ship on a First Order shuttle or whatever. This is Chewie being heroic. This is Chewie showing up at the last second, like Han and Chewie did at the end of the first movie, the Death Star attack run. So Ben orders all the fighters after the Falcon, giving the speeders an opening to attack. The cannon is charging up, and it is clear that they came too late. Only Finn is close enough to attack it, to launch his weapons at it. And it's clear that just he by himself doesn't have enough weapons on his speeder to do it. But he starts charging it. Kamikaze runs is a bit of should be a bit of a theme here. Okay, self-sacrifice, people fighting to gain time for others. This is the Star Wars episode about people sacrificing for others. Uh, Rose calls Finn and pleads with him not to do it. Poe orders him not to do it. Finn refuses. And so Poe is now in the exact same position that Princess Leia was earlier when Poe was making his attack. So character growth. Look at that. It's cool. So Finn hits the cannon just as it explodes, just as it fires. And so he doesn't stop it entirely, but the damage, damages it, so it doesn't shoot at full strength. Instead of breaking open the door and killing everyone inside, it cracks it. So there's this giant crack running right down the middle of it. So it's vulnerable. So now with more conventional weapons, the First Order can break through with some time. Oh, before I forget, there should be absolutely nothing in this movie about there being some hyperspace, some galactic-wide transmission that they make from the Salt Planet and then be ignored and abandoned, because they have the machines to transmit on their ships. Okay, maybe not on the starfighters, but on their cruisers they definitely do. So there isn't any plot about them being abandoned. Just the oncoming, crushing inevitability of death. They know that there is no escape. They can't fight. They are doomed. And having been through all that, having seen so many people sacrifice themselves and give their lives to try to save them all, at this point, it's crushing to the characters, and hopefully, at least if it's done right, to the audience too. Then Luke appears, and he steps out of the shadows like in the film. He talks quietly with Rey, who is there with the Resistance now, saying that she was right about a lot of things. And he talks with Leia. Then the door breaks with a thunderous crash, and they know the First Order is coming. It's over. But Luke heads out to confront Ben. As he goes, he looks at Poe and he says, "Run." Because unless he actually says that, how the heck is Poe supposed to know that Luke is buying time for them to escape? Bit of a plot hole. Luke goes out and confronts Ben like he did in the actual film. So the others see the crystal foxes, and those things are running away, and think, where are they going? And so they go racing after them, and Rey gets ahead of the others because, well, she's a lot less worn down, having not been pursued by the First Order all this time, and having gone through all that Jedi training on the far-off planet. So she pulls ahead of the others, and she breaks ahead, and she sees sunlight. She can smell the fresh air, and she races ahead, and she's not careful, and she kicks over a rock or whatever, and suddenly the whole thing comes down behind her. No one is killed, or maybe only a few people are hurt or whatever, but they're trapped, and Rey is broken. She falls to her knees. She's crying after all this time, all this effort, all this work, all this trying to save people. She doomed them. Then a voice speaks to her, an otherworldly, eldritch voice. Is it Obi-Wan Kenobi? Is it something else? Is it one of her parents who we still know nothing about? I don't know. But it talks to her. It tells her that with the Force, nothing is impossible. And she raises her head, and again, we can see her face, and we can see things changing. We can see her eyes as her thoughts come into order, as she stands to her feet, and she reaches out. Cut back to Luke, who is still confronting Ben. As we left them, Ben came down to the surface, and he stared at Luke, and we see this this spaghetti western moment with one on one side, one on the other side of the screen, and they're just staring at each other, waiting for someone to make the first move. And we cut back to them now, and they talk and they confront each other, and that was an awesome bit. Keep that, yes. And so comes the end of that, and Luke says to Ben that everything Ben said was wrong, and he is not the last of the Jedi. And then we cut back to Rey, and we cut back to the rest of the surviving Resistance who are still trapped in the tunnels, and then suddenly the rockfall before them suddenly opens out, and there is Rey. And it's like, this is her moment. This should be her moment to rise above everything, to transcend herself, to become something more than she was. And this is the thing that we want to build up to. So they did some building up to it in the movie, but they should have done more. I think this is better. I think this makes this bit better. Then Chewie finds them, and they blast off, and we cut back to Luke and Ben. And Ben finally kills Luke, and it's revealed that Luke was tricking him the whole time. And he looks up, and he sees the Millennium Falcon blasting off into space. And such a moment Ben has. This would be such a moment. It's our Dunkirk moment, really, when there was absolutely no hope, and suddenly everything, the escape has happened. Losses have taken place. People have died. People have given their lives to win this moment. But we haven't. Okay. Cut back to the Millennium Falcon. And in the drawer, there are the Jedi textbooks. How they got there, we don't really need to go into that. They don't do it in the original movie. It's kind of a cool bit. But then they come out of hyperspace. And there, oh, I forgot. Okay, so when our heroes are captive on the First Order flagship, Hux brags at them that about having tricked the Resistance, because there is no hyperspace tracker. It doesn't work. It'll never work. What he did was, in the final bombardment, just before the Resistance made it into hyperspace, excuse me, among the shots, he fired a whole bunch of trackers at the hyperspace trackers at the Resistance ships. So they're bugged. So he's not following the hyperspace tracker. He's following these transmitters that he put on their ships. And so now they know that they can get away. And so now they're out of hyperspace, and they know they're safe. But then they see a whole fleet, a battle fleet, just there, and it's like it's waiting for them. And everyone is terrified. Everyone is like, after all that, what now? And then they get a transmission from the fleet. And it's a Republic fleet. And Princess Leia takes the comm, and she identifies herself, and the commander of the fleet is silent for a moment and says, "Awaiting your orders, Princess Leia," or something like that. So we end on a slightly triumphant note, because even though they've taken all these losses, even though the Resistance has been smashed, ground up into a paste, the spark has survived. The spark that I believe they talked about a few times in the movie has reached tinder, and now a fire is starting to burn. And this is another bit I would like to be in the movie. Maybe a post-credit sequence or something, but at just a minute, half a minute or something, we cut back to the Salt Planet, and in the middle of nowhere, middle of the desert, there's an ejector seat, and Finn is sitting in it, and there's like a parachute, something strewn over the place, like he just jumped out of his speeder just as it hit, and he says something like, well, dying wasn't plan A, and that's it. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of problems in what I'm proposing. Maybe there are plot holes I don't see in what I'm talking about. I'm sure that there are things I'm missing. So please tell me if you see anything I'm missing. Comment below with what do you think? What do you think they could have done to make the movies better? Could you see anything that could be improved in my version? And just talk to me. I really want to know what you think. That's all. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and well, may the force be with you.